Please do not fall into that trap, because if you lose your money, you're very unlikely to get it back. These people don't have professional indemnity insurance. You are basically stuffed. So please look after your future, look after yourselves, look after your family. Don't be scammed.
This is BayRadio.
We're lucky enough to have every fortnight Christina Brady from Black Tower Financial Management. In the last couple of 3 weeks, been back in with us in the studio as well, which has been nice. I put the post up on Facebook asking for, if there's any questions anyone could ask. I thought that was funny, that little meme, but nobody's liked it yet. I'll try my best. But somebody did come through. It looks like a couple from Calpe. So I'm retired, living in Spain, receive a private and state pension. I'm guessing this is a UK state pension. Okay. My wife receives a very small private pension. How is the tax relief worked out, and how much tax relief should a taxpayer get? That sounds like one of those tongue twisters.
Yep. In Spain, money you get from your pensions is taxed as work income, and the allowances in Spain are very, very low. Personal allowances start at €5,600 per annum, and it does go up by age, so it depends what age you are, but it never goes up very much. The maximum is around €7,000 per annum. What you can do is, if your wife's pension is very, very low, you can do a joint return, because in Spain, if you're married and one partner doesn't use up the whole of their allowance, it can be switched to the other partner. Your other spouse, so you can utilise their unused allowance. However, if that's not going to work out, your accountant will do a calculation. So they will usually work it out as a sole person, as a married person using both allowances. If your wife gets a small private pension, I'm not sure how much that is, but if you're only getting income from one source, like one pension, it doesn't matter what type of pension it is, and it's under €14,000 a year, you don't need to declare that, and you don't need to pay tax. So it depends how hers is. So it depends on, obviously, your age, how much income is coming in for both of you, whether you can utilise some of your wife's unused allowance and whether that makes sense, or for your wife to utilise the fact that she can get all of hers tax-free, and then does that counterbalance what you're paying on tax on your side. So there are various scenarios for you. I'm afraid in Spain, personal allowances are abysmally low. If you compare them to UK, £11,000, €5,600. It's not a lot. And there are not many other allowances you get. So it's best to talk to your Hesteria or accountant and get them to do the comparisons for you on a sole basis, jointly with your wife, and see which one is best for you.
See, I knew you'd be able to answer that, even without some of the finer details in there. I'd have just looked at that and go, do it a what with a what? No, but it's not my business, it's yours.
It is interesting, though, if you are getting income from just one source, so you've got no other form of income, if it's just from a pension, you can get up to $14,000 a year, and you don't need to declare it. So, in fact, it's tax-free. But what I found is there are some advice companies that are saying to people, if you've got a final salary pension or if you've got a personal pension, if you transfer it into our CureOps or our SIP, you can then take advantage of this tax allowance. It's if you've got any pension. Okay, but you mustn't have any other form of income, so you cannot get income from savings, investments, from rental. It's got to be your sole source of income. So that's very interesting. That's for people to know. Also on the pension side, in the UK, the pension age is being raised again. It was 50. This is for private pensions, CureOps, SIPs, final salary pensions, etc. Unless you've got underlying health conditions, it was 50. It was then raised to 55. In 2028, that age is rising to 57. State pension age will then be 67. They tend to keep a 10-year between them. They are talking about raising the state pension age after that to 70, which will mean for your private pensions, for your SIPs, for your CureOps, you will have to be 60. So if you started taking your pension now and you're 55, you're fine. You can take it at 55 up to 2028. If at 2028 you are going to be 55 and you think you can take your pension, tough. You'll have to wait another 2 years till you're 57. So I'm afraid if you are a youngster, we've got another 8 years to go. before you get to 55, then you will have to wait till you're 57. There is more and more talk about the UK government either getting rid of the triple lock on state pensions or changing the way it's calculated. So with the triple lock, pensioners get the higher of, I have to remember this, it's either the retail price index, I think I wrote it down somewhere because I always forget this.
I remember the percent, it's 2.5%.
It is, it's a higher of 2.5%. The retail price index or average wage growth. I think that's
right.
What they're saying is if you take the figures as they've been over the last few years, they've been nowhere near 2.5%. So the government is saying it's worked out on an annual basis. They're either going to increase that, so it has to be the average over 2, 3, 4 years, or they're talking about getting rid of it altogether. They need to recoup money from coronavirus, from what's happened. They cannot just do it to people who are working because they're going to go up in arms. Pensioners are going to have to pay something. It depends on what the government does. Hopefully they won't introduce any further taxes on pension income. There was talk of them getting rid of, in the UK, you can 25% of your pension when you take it tax-free. They were talking about getting rid of that as well. So you would get no tax-free allowance. In Spain, unfortunately, if you're a Spanish tax resident, there is no tax-free allowance on your pension. So if you do take your pension in Spain, if you take 25%, you should report it to the Spanish authorities and you should be taxed. That's the way if you're going to play it all above board. It's up to you, but that's the way it goes. So with pensions, obviously there could be some changes coming along. As I said, there's definitely a change on when you can receive your pension. So that applies to UK private pensions, if you've got a SIP, not state pensions. Obviously that's going to go up to 67.
Yeah.
And for final salary pensions, you sometimes can get it earlier if you've got underlying health conditions, and that's at the discretion of your trustee. Or for private pensions, they have a questionnaire you fill in, and if you meet all the criteria, they will give it if you've got a life-limiting illness. So if your life expectancy is only 4 or 5 years, sometimes they will give you your pension earlier. So it's worth looking into it. Also, you've got to be careful. Some pensions that were taken out in the UK I'd say 2000, do not have flexible drawdown. And we've got lots of people coming to us saying, we've got these pensions, we can't take flexible drawdown. What do we do? Usually it's transferring it. The most cost-effective vehicle at the moment is a SIP. It's very, very cheap with a platform. Curops, we're not sure what's going to happen after Brexit. If that product is still going to be a viable product, it'll be okay for people who've got it, but going forward it may not be a product that's available. We have to wait to see if we've got a deal or no deal. So there could be quite a lot of changes coming up regarding pensions. Also regarding Brexit, if we have a no deal, certain funds in the UK will no longer be accessible in the EU. Most fund companies have already taken this into consideration. They've set up a sort of a similar fund in either Luxembourg or Ireland, so that can automatically come into Europe because they're part of the EU. We have found many, many people coming to us saying that their UK advisors can no longer advise them because they are not resident in the UK. And what will happen is their PI, which is professional indemnity insurance, will no longer cover them if they have clients that do not reside in the UK. So we're having to take those people on and sometimes restructure their whole portfolio because their financial advisors in the UK have put it together from a UK tax perspective, which isn't advantageous in Spain. ISAs are not tax advantageous in Spain, so you have to change that, put them into tax compliant things that give them tax advantages in Spain. They can mitigate inheritance tax, income tax, etc. So we are getting a lot of people coming to us prior to moving. There's still a lot of people planning to move here, trying to get here before December. So we've got lots of people that have just moved here that haven't become tax resident because they're not going to. You can move here, you become resident after 3 months, tax resident after 6 months if you stay for 6 months. So some people are only going to be here 3 months. They've just come over. So we're trying to restructure their stuff for them. For some people, things are fine as they are. There's nothing worse than going to see a financial advisor and you've got investments and they say, oh, we need to change everything. Most of the time you don't. So be very, very wary. And what you've got to understand is if you do cancel or close down investments in the UK, you may have a very big tax liability, a chargeable gain in the UK. So before you do anything, it's advisable to check with a UK accountant or the company to see what your chargeable gain will be if you close down a UK investment. And then they weigh that up against the benefits of moving over to another investment that you've been recommended to take out in Spain. But be very wary. And if someone tries to pressurise you, if someone starts sending you loads of emails, phoning you saying, you've got to do this before the end of the year, you've got to do this now, say, hang on, hold back. Don't be rushed into anything. Please, no one make hasty decisions where your financial future is concerned. It will affect you now, it will affect you in the future. And for most of us, we're not getting any younger. We don't want to lose what we've got. We want to be able to retire. I came across a gentleman the other day who had been scammed out of a large figure. We're talking, 6 figures. A financial advisor had come to see him and had advised him to get into certain investments and said, if you give me cash or a cheque, I will invest it on your behalf. This gentleman did. I'm sure this person did it to many others. He is now in Dubai, this person. These people cannot get their money back. When you see a financial advisor, one thing, they should never, ever, and I'm going to say this really sternly, ask you for cash. If anyone asks you for cash, you show them a door, you kick their butt. Also, they should never ask for a cheque written out in their personal name. The cheque should always be written out to the provider who is giving you that investment. So it's Prudential, it's made out to Prudential. If it's a company called, XYZ, it's made, but never to an individual or the financial advice company. So if someone comes to you from, say, Fish Fingers Financial Advisors and says, could you write it out to us? No. Okay, you do not do that. Or if they ask you to do a telephonic transfer is only to the company that is giving you the investment. Your risk is with that company, not the financial advisors. Please, please do not be scammed. There are lots of people out there who are scamming not only the elderly, but people who are vulnerable. Some people are very, very bright, but they don't know about finance. And people bamboozle them with terms and saying, look, I've done an investment myself, I've got 60% return this year or 60% return since the downturn. Invest in what I'm investing in. It may not be normal investments, but that's how you make extra money. No, this is where Continental Wealth fell down. They were investing in stuff that was high risk and selling it as low risk. Please do not fall into that trap, because if you lose your money, you're very unlikely to get it back. These people don't have professional indemnity insurance. You are basically stuffed. So please look after your future, look after yourselves, look after your family. Don't be scammed.
Now, it's interesting who you'd make the something payable to. Not brought that up before. So just be careful.
No, it is very, very. Please be very careful.
Do you get many cheques still these days?
We do actually. The only reason we get cheques is because Spanish banks are very, very greedy, and if people are doing an investment, some banks are trying to charge people up to 1% or more to do the transfer. What they don't tell them is there is a standard charge sheet, but it's very flexible. But if you pay by cheque, even though a cheque takes more to process, costs more money, it's for free. So for euro investments and some sterling investments, people still do pay by cheque because it's saving them. If you're doing investments for 250,000, they're trying to charge you 1%. You're saving a lot of money.
I suppose so.
So that's why the only reason we do cheques. Yeah. Some providers now are not accepting cheques, but most still are because they understand the problems. However, if you pay by a euro cheque, it can take up to 28 days to clear. Sterling cheques take a couple of days, but it's better saving you $2,500 by doing that than going through the bank. And they charge, they just charge so much for telephonic transfers. They're really sort of doing themselves a disfavour. They should, I think, to do a telephonic transfer costs them about €12. Even if they charge you 50, they're still making a profit. But no, they get greedy. And, with the mergers that are going on, there's a rumour Bankia are going to merge with La Caixa.
Caixa Bank, yeah.
To form one huge bank with assets of about 650 million. It will be more of a Spain-centric bank. It's not going to be an international bank because they don't have international arms like Santander and the other banks. But that seems to be, going through at the moment. So we'll have to see. That will mean more branch closures, more people out of work. Hopefully, they'll bring down their costs because both of them charge, I know Bankia charges €14, I think, a month to keep a bank account open unless you've got wages coming in or a certain amount each month, which adds up to quite a lot over a year. And I understand why. because most of them are getting negative interest rate on the deposits they put with the central banks overnight, and they're having to recoup their fees.
I just thought we'd come back to the markets and that, because we're dropping just a little bit.
Yeah, the exchange rate is now 1.109. That's due to Brexit, and they feel that a no deal is much more likely. Stock exchange all in the red. FTSE is now down at 5920. Most of that is due to the fact that New York is reopened after holidays. They're taking stock of things that have happened. They're starting to sell off some of their positions. And the price will go down, then they'll buy them back. That's not too bad, but the exchange rate, if we do have a no-deal Brexit, I would expect it to go down maybe to 1-to-1 and then come back up. So we could see a bit further down, which is good for you. But
well, that's fine for my trifling amount
but
of
not
transfer
for people
back.
who get pensions and their salaries in sterling.
No, not if it's coming this way. It's no good to you at all.
But if any of you have any questions on anything I've said today, or would like any advice, any guidance, please do not hesitate to get in touch. We are here to help you, and I mean that sincerely. You can email info@blacktowerfm.com or BayRadio, all one word, at blacktowerfm.com. Put for the attention of Christina. It comes straight through to me, and I will deal with it. You can always go to our website, which is blacktowerfm.com. Go under Spain. I'm under Costa Blanca. You'll find my details there. Just email me. It doesn't matter if you're not in the Costa Blanca. It doesn't matter where you are in Europe, in Spain. Well, there'll be someone at Black Tower that can help you. So if you come through to me, I can always pass you on to the correct person. So please don't worry if you're not in the Costa Blanca. If you would like to talk to us, you can call the office, which is 965 05 8212. And remember, we are here to help you and to try and make your financial future as secure as possible. And that's our job.
Yeah, use the BayRadio email address if you remember that one, because they'll know it's come from you listening to this. That little pensions thing we did, by the way, on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
So if you go on YouTube, search for BayRadio Spain. Make sure you subscribe to the channel anyway.
And I've got to send you the link for how to get your UK state pension calculation. I'll do that when I get back to the office.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it, I think. I think we do mention it in that little clip.
We do,
so you'll
but
find it in the video.
It's easy if you just post it on Facebook so people can just look at it. It's interesting, actually, to see when you're going to get your pension and how much you're going to get.
A little bit scary as well.
Yeah, it is when it comes up with a 0.
Yeah, well, it's scary when it says this is the year you retire. That's not too far
wasn't yours
away.
59 or
That's
something?
right, yeah.
Oh, no, it's quite near for him, don't worry.
Oh, well, okay. But it's building up nicely. But obviously, it may be the case that you've left off paying your national insurance.
Top it up. It will tell you how to top up. It will tell you what you have to pay in, and then you have to weigh up what you're going to get as an annual pension versus what you have to pay in. But for some people, it is a very, very good deal. And I've had a couple of clients that the amount's been quite large to pay in, but the amount they're getting back each year way outweighs what they've put in. So that is interesting to do as well. So please try and spend time on yourself. Try and sort out your finances. I'm a good one to talk. I'm a financial advisor, and my finances always come last. But for most of you will find time. If you've got any questions, if you are unsure, just get in touch.
It's the same as anyone. Have you ever seen a builder's house where they live?
I know what happened.
Unfinished projects all over the place.
I had a note on my desk for the weekend. Look at your pension. Have I?
Of course not, no. Thank you for coming in. As always, we're lucky to have you this hour every fortnight. So we've recorded that. You were talking straight to the camera for most of that, like Susanna Reid there.
With the microphone in the middle, because I don't like cameras.
You were hiding behind the first bit, but that second bit, you were giving
made it move.
Giving it plenty, straight down the lens there. So we'll get that sorted out.
Then.
On to our YouTube channel, BayRadio in Spain, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.